Welcome back to Round 8's Buy, Hold and Sell podcast. I'm joined by Mick. He is back. Welcome back, Mick.
It's great to be here, Dor. A couple of weeks off, but still enjoying my fantasy.
Yes. We will discuss maybe some reasons why you might be lying with that statement a bit later. But look, just quickly, last week, round 7 was a pretty good week for coaches overall. A lot of high scores coming through.
100%.
I think I got like 900 and something, and you scored well. We'll touch on in a second. But just quickly before we touch on your team, Mick, last week's templates that we put out, David Fifita, yes, a real stunning performance from David Fifita.
He didn't lose any money, did he?
Didn't lose any money, and yes, Des said he was going to be out for a month, and he's been named this week on the bench. So
I think Des was just trolling there for a bit.
Yeah, potentially. I think Des needs to work on his injury diagnosis. But look, if we'll touch on David Fifita in a second anyway. Kiraz was very special, brother.
Superstar.
You got to be happy. You ended up picking him up last week.
Yeah, I picked him up. He's currently a pod. That's probably going to change, to be honest. Just gets through work, and he didn't score a try. That'll come eventually.
We set up a lovely try. I did call that one with wobbling down right side.
Yeah, that was great commentary. He sort of runs into contact like a few forwards where they run into it backwards, so he can get that easy offload out the back. And watching that, 4 points. Tar.
Yeah, 59 points for Kiraz in his second game back. So that was special. Then the not so special of Reece Walsh, who actually got injured in the very first hit up of the game. He's done his PCL. He's now a sell. He's out for at least a month. It's looking like 3 weeks to a month.
Do you think he would have scored all right if he didn't do that like straight away?
I think so.
He was starting to improve, especially after last week.
Well, he got 26 points and he basically played on one knee, basically. Yeah. So, it was basically, if you did get him, it was a pretty courageous performance to at least stay out there and get something like that, because it would have been like probably like 2 points or something.
Those 26 points could have been the difference.
Oh, 100%. And this man, look, if you didn't get him last week, I don't really know what you're doing. Minus 21 break even last week. Dylan Egan, he got the start again, 51 points.
The cheapies this year are just wonderful.
Yeah.
Everyone's team's going to be stacked.
Break even of -4 this week, so he's still going to make some money. But look, if you didn't get on last week, he made 80K last week. He's made 252K over the last couple of weeks. So that is outstanding. Connor Watson, wow, what a great hold.
Yeah, he's returned.
He has been really special.
Will he play Origin?
He could. I'd say he's probably a good chance for the utility role there for New South Wales if they go down that path. It's also to be noted as well that while the Roosters, I believe, do play 3 of the next 4 weeks, their Origin schedule by period is pretty diabolical.
Yep.
So that could be something there. But with how hookers are going this season, I think Connor Watson is definitely leading the way there.
100%. The other ones are pretty easy.
Yeah, Nicholson played 80 minutes, so that was really good. That was the only concern. A lot of people were saying, is Nicholson a sell? Will he get the 80 minutes? Look, he's probably got another week left of him, break even of 45 this week. So can't complain. Hughes was great as well, brother. Well, I wouldn't say great. He got 40, but definitely back in the right direction. Hopgood had a solid performance.
He's just not getting the minutes.
The minutes, he's just...
I don't think the yellow cards helped.
No.
Yeah, overall, we're all right.
Yeah.
And remember,
Fisher Harris out, and Seyfarth would have gone rubbish if he didn't score.
Yeah, we try and not pick the same people we did the week before, which would help us. We just go the same people every week, like Egan buy every week.
So your team's going quite well, Mick, before we get into the buy, hold, sell?
I was coming like 180th at one point during the round. I think I'm coming like 1,500 or something like that.
Yeah.
In terms of a head-to-head league, I'm coming 17th.
Yes.
Not sure what's going on there.
Very unfortunate.
just matching up against people who are going well.
Well, yeah, no.
Yeah, I think I started with Couchman, locked out there.
That's been really good.
Captains. Had Haas really early, so yeah.
Yeah, no, you've certainly gone very well, brother.
Yeah, Dor, just before we go into the buy, hold, sells, I was just going to maybe preface just overall, I think the most important question this week, or what people are going to be asking, is what to do with our guy, Jayden Campbell. Is he a hold or is he a sell? What do you think?
I personally, it's really hard because it's like 700, like 700K.
He's out for 3 to 4 weeks.
3 to 4 weeks, 780K, so nearly 800K to have on your bench. Like, I guess in one aspect it's good because you've got someone to loop every week in that period.
Yep.
But I really think that Campbell's one that I would personally hold if I had him, especially with how my squad is at the moment. I tried to get in Jayden Campbell a couple of weeks ago, but couldn't afford it. So I ended up going with Fletcher Sharpe, who's gone very well the last few weeks. But look, I'm not going to hate anyone for selling if they want to, because it is 780K. He's going to be out like that 3 to 4 weeks.
Titans don't play round 12, so pretend it is 4 weeks. Out of the next, 6 weeks, he'll miss 4 of them or 5.
I just think
it's one of those things. If it's 3 weeks, it's great. It's sort of like Lucas earlier in the year, where
he's now back, but he's probably taken a bit longer than.
Yeah, it might get some mail where it's taking longer than expected. If you've saved trades, I think he's fine to trade to another keeper.
Yep.
But for me personally, I got a few more priorities where I can afford to sort of keep him there.
Yep. No, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I just think definitely I'm leaning personally. If I had him, I'd be holding on to him. But like you said, Mick, if you got a heap of trades, there's plenty of great players out there that you can get involved or get into your side. What were you going to say? Sorry, brother.
I was just going to get into the buys.
Oh yeah, did you want to touch on, just because it's getting into that period where we're getting to that time of year where we've got to be starting to take into equation with Origin. The bye rounds, Origin, everything like that.
That's where the gun coaches emerge.
Yeah, so I don't know if everyone that is listening knows this, but Fantasy's actually added a few more rounds this season where you only need to worry about fielding 13 players. So I think there's an extra, 3 more rounds this year, 14,
they
17, and 20, that you'll now see that your fantasy scores only for your best 13 players that are on the field.
Yeah, it's basically the same as round 13, 16, and 19.
It was last year, yeah, just an extra 3 rounds. So it's very beneficial.
It's great for the casuals. Maybe less planning for people who are really trying to increase in overall.
A few less trades as well, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So as well as it does benefit like the casuals, like you said, it also helps those people that are really serious and into it like us, that you can save a few more trades around that period because, you only have to worry about fielding 13 players rather than 17. So
100%, brother.
That's definitely something. If you want to get into the buys, Mick,
let's kick it off.
Let's go, baby.
We've listed a few. We might be repeating on people we talked about last week. But
we'll just keep it nice and quick on those guys that we want to touch on.
Latrell, we've talked about. He's moved into fullback now. Jai Gray's on the bench. I think we can all agree he's probably going to score better than he did at 5'8".
Yep, 100%.
High break even. But
76.
is it one where you just get him in now? Origin coming up. What do you think?
Yeah. Look, personally, I would rather go with some of the other names over maybe Latrell. I just think now it's a bit too close to that Origin period. But if you don't play like the bye rounds, you're not too worried about that, then feel free to go ahead. Just me personally, for example, I'd rather go a Kiraz over a Latrell Mitchell just because of one, the break even, one, the Origin. Yeah. But to be honest, like Cord and I discussed yesterday, Kiraz could be a smoky for New South Wales.
That's a good point.
So while I say I'd prefer Kiraz, the Bulldogs have great bye round scheduling. Yeah. And I just don't think he'll get picked, unfortunately.
Latrell, he's got that high break even, the versus the Storm. I back him to go pretty well regardless.
He normally goes well.
He's
going to be firing.
There you go. You'd probably rather get him this week than next week because you're getting those points.
This week, yeah.
You're getting those points this week. And if you get him next week, it's just closer to Origin. You're like, geez, I've got to think about it now.
I think this is starting to get to that, the final frontier South lineup. Cord and I did say this yesterday as well. It just looks like, with Hubner going down, that Arrow moved into lock.
Yep.
Aiken into this the second row. I think when they get their players back, Humphreys will go into the halves, Sullivan will go back to the bench, and then they'll have that Alex Johnson on the wing, Latrell at fullback, and they might even they'll probably keep Jai Gray as 14 over Sullivan. So I think Latrell's now got that fullback jersey until like he plays Origin or something like that, I believe. Unfortunately for Jai Gray, he's had a stunning start to the season.
Yeah. Next guy, Dor. We talked about him last week. He was in our buy hold sell. Jacob Kiraz,
Yes.
superstar. I think he's probably the best winger fullback option this week, and he has that centre duel. Pretty
And-
simple one, I think.
Yeah, and he also plays all the major buy rounds as
And
well.
the doggies are undefeated. I
I
think that might change against the Broncos. Hot take.
It could.
They haven't versed a good
Hopefully.
team really yet.
Hopefully it comes.
Stay with me now.
Yeah, hopefully it's good for my Broncos, should I say? But yeah, the doggies are
I think
flying
that's a
at the
simple
moment.
one.
We don't need to really go into too much about Kiraz. We rambled on about him last week. Look, if you didn't get him last week, you need a wing fullback or centre. Go ahead and get that man as well as this man, Mick.
Yeah, he sort of goes under the radar, Herbie, I'd say. Like, no, he's just so expensive at the start of the year. And everyone goes, oh, I'd rather spend my cash elsewhere. He is consistent as.
Yeah, 74 points last
74,
week.
he didn't start the game that well in terms of fantasy. He just racks up tackle bus. It's unbelievable.
Tackle bus offloads, yeah, it's incredible. Break even
Dolphins
at
have
52.
arrived as well.
And yeah, the Dolphins are playing well. That's going to be a great game, I believe, on Sunday at 2:00. The Dolphins versus Raiders there. So yeah, look to Herbie to have another really good performance, Mick.
Yeah, I was just going to segue into this next guy,
100%.
Dylan Lucas, who's just come back from his hamstring.
Yep.
If you're going for a centre, would you rather like a Lucas or a Herbie as your gun keeper? Could have both.
Could have both.
It's just one of those things where it's like Lucas is cheaper and he's a forward who generally score better. So
Yeah, I think so, Mick. I'm just having a look here while I'm about to say what I think, but it looks like that. Yeah, it doesn't really look like either of the teams really. The Dolphins play the round 18, so the major by round 18. And yeah, that's about it. The Knights don't look like they play, or the Knights play the round 18, 1-2. So they don't play the other ones. Same with the Dolphins. So they both.
Knights got a great schedule.
Yeah, buy round schedule seems to be the same. I just think that they're both really good options. I couldn't say like really go one over the other.
Very
I guess that if you want someone with a bit of versatility with the dual, Lucas can help out with that edge.
Yep, he's averaging 61.
They're both
wait a
guns.
week.
I've got look, his break evens I believe 40 on the dot. Yeah, it's 40 on the dot. So yeah, you can definitely wait a week if you want. Yep.
Next guy, I think you're probably more keen on this guy more than me at least. Scotty Drinkwater.
Yeah, I just think
Consistent.
the Cowboys are just starting to find their way the last couple of weeks. What they started 0-3 and now they're 3-3. So
I thought they were shot.
Yeah,
They look so bad.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure up there in North Queensland. But look, Scotty Drinkwater's definitely, as well as Jackson Purdue, has been terrific in basically spearheading the Cowboys back into contention and a real top 8 threat this season if they can continue this recent form. Look, the last 3 weeks he scored 62, 47, 55. Look, 62 I think's the real upper echelon of Drinky's capabilities. I don't think he's really going to go much higher than that.
I think this is him. He's averaging 47 overall for the year. He did that last year.
I think he's around 50 if you want like a 50 points every week at fullback.
Maybe less kicking in play because of Clifford. I just think he's like a nice little
he's still goal
consistent
kicking
keeper.
over Clifford as well, so he's getting that. That might help him a bit more now with Val not being there. So what you said, average 47 last year, it might be a 50 or something this year with the extra couple of points from the goal kicking.
He's probably like if you see risk in like Latrell because of Origin or Dylan Edwards, who we'll talk about, he's probably the guy.
Yeah.
But he won't score as well, I don't think.
No, I still am the same with my Latrell Mitchell take. I'm still of the belief I'd rather go Jacob Kiraz over both these players.
I agree. What about Fletcher Sharpe?
Fletcher Sharpe.
Knights a dross.
Well, do you want to touch on Deadwoods
But it
before
doesn't
we
matter for
touch
him.
on Do you want to touch on Deadwoods before we go to?
I think
Dylan?
Deadwoods is a real easy one for me.
Yeah. Well, it's just Origin.
It's just if you don't want to go through that headache of maybe resting around Origin, don't get him.
But he has had a bit of time off this year, and Penrith aren't going as well as they normally have. So I don't think that there'll be as much.
I think
resting.
they'll improve. They'll be like they were last week. In my opinion.
I agree that they'll improve, but what I'm more trying to say is I don't think they'll be as lenient as they were around that period with the resting because of where they're situated on the ladder.
Good point.
They basically need to win most of their games after their 1-5 or 1-4 start to the season.
I'm definitely looking at him.
Yeah.
I think like
676K, 75 points last week.
Without Luai, he seems to be getting more touches. Maybe. I think he could be like a 55 average guy.
Yeah, I think there's a bit more upside with Edwards over, say, Scotty Drinkwater.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, I'd have Edwards and Kiraz as my main guys. Like you said, we'll segue. Before we touch on Fletcher Sharpe, let's touch on another wing fullback or centre wing. I think that's the last one. Yeah, I think that's the last one on our list that we've got here outside of the last man. But we'll touch on these guys and then touch on Fletcher Sharpe. But Marzhew had an absolute huge game. We did have him at the start of the year, but had to move him on. But yeah, 88 points on the weekend.
Broke my heart.
It was an absolutely incredible performance.
He carried them on his back.
Oh, it was definitely.
What did he have, like 14 tackle busts or something?
Oh, he had something. I'm just checking that right now. He had 15 tackle breaks for 30 points. So, yeah, he was just absolutely.
He's averaging 51 this year, Dor.
Yeah, he's very special. The only reason that I'd again go like a Kiraz over him is I just think the way the Newcastle are playing, I don't think that it's like Marzhew will still go well every week because of his work rate, but surely it's just like the upside.
It's got to be AOB.
It's either got to be the coach or that just their halves. Like they're really struggling for a half that really, control the game and dominate.
And they signed
Dylan Brown,
natural ball runner for 1.3 or 1 for 4.
Yes. So look, he's 591K. Look, he's in a fair few teams now. 7% Marzhew, break even at 23. If you want to get him and you trust Newcastle to turn it around,
his base is pretty good.
His base is very good.
Meters.
Last man is one that's probably that we need to talk about. He made 45K last week. He's made 123K for the season. Mawene Hiroti, averaging 50 for the season, break even to 13, 51 points last week.
Isn't Iro
back and center?
Iro back in 2 weeks?
I think Iro could be back like next week or whatever. Yeah. So it would have been like you would have had to
skip over him.
Yeah.
I probably should have talked about him more previously.
Yeah, 100%. It's just basically, unfortunately, it's a bit too late now. If you got on at the start, well done.
Dor, we'll go into a couple of halfbacks. If you're looking to replace JC, if you've got him in there, Katoa from the Dolphins, hella consistent. Might have arrived. Well, he probably arrived last year, but in terms of his ball playing against the Storm was incredible.
Yeah, I think he had
kick meters galore.
Pretty sure he had. He had 3 try assists as well. So he's definitely really playing well. Mick, racking up the kick meters every week. Probably, I'd say he's been averaging around like 400 and odd kick meters every week, where he's getting like 40.
Average is 54 this year so far.
Yeah, 14, 15 points every week. My problem is with him is, as well as he's going so well, he really needs like it to be a real worthwhile buy. It's like he's 675K. He's at that awkward price break, even at 46.
You're right.
I don't know if there's much growth, and I don't think he's a gun. So like, I don't know if he can keep up.
You'd
like
rather
50, 60
it's like the
week.
Usual conversation. If you want a pod, he's great, but if you want the keeper who you can trust, it's like you go for Fogarty or you wait for Jerome Hughes to bottom out and you get him.
Yeah, well, it's nearly at that time for Hughes to.
Yeah, I got him a couple of weeks ago. Hasn't been good.
Yeah,
Burton, Dor.
Yes. Look, he's back. 54 points last week. Break even of 60. Definitely a pot option. Only in 1.8% of teams. Just touched on. I don't think Burton's going to be playing Origin unless there's like a mass exodus or mass amount of injuries for the Blues. So yeah, I don't think Burton's playing. We've touched on it multiple times already. The great schedule that the Bulldogs have over this bye round period, and how well they're playing. You just have to look at the results. We have
I'm
spoke
happy
about
for
that as
people
well.
to get him.
If you want to get him, yeah, look, you can wait another week if you want to, but if you want to get him in, he should get around 50 points this weekend anyway.
Yep, Dor. Another half wing and fullback duel. Fletcher Sharpe.
My Sharpedo.
Look, as we said, the Knights have been terrible. He hasn't. It hasn't really mattered for his scoring. If they potentially go on a run, they find a bit of form, he could go through the roof.
Oh, especially, yeah.
He is exy, though.
Yeah, 669K. Break even of 48 this week, brother. He's averaging 54.8 for the season. Not really a pot option. He's in 12.41% of teams. So a fair few teams have got the Sharpedo, including myself. Made 119K for the season.
Yep.
Like you said, Mick, I think there's some upside there.
I like just the fact that Knights players, they don't have a bye until round, bear with me now, 18? Unless I'm mistaken. I'm just going off the footy statistics website.
Yeah, no. I think you are right, actually.
Which is crazy.
Now that I look at it, I think that the Dolphins and on my earlier take, I think that the Dolphins and Newcastle play both round 12 and 15. So they play the two. This is back to the Herbie and Lucas debate, that they play both round 12 and 15. So two of the three major bye rounds, and then both Knights and the Dolphins have that last round 18 bye. So yeah, like you said,
Very
Mick,
appealing.
They don't have a bye till round 18 Newcastle. So yeah, I think it is very, very appealing. I love Fletcher Sharpe.
Yeah.
He's very involved.
He's going to be consistent just with that base as well. He's running so much, and tackle bust will come.
And exactly, and their attack. Surely it's got to come good.
Under the radar for us, we probably should have been talking about him more. At least once he's come back. Pearce Paul went great on the weekend.
Yes.
Probably what we expected last year for a bit, but it was his sort of first year in the NRL.
Yeah, look, he was
He'll be a good pod.
He was, good pod, and definitely a good option, Mick. He was great for like a lot of us, the majority of us coaches last season. So
650K.
Can't really complain. A bit of upside, but you would prefer if Newcastle were playing a bit of a better brand of football. He also did benefit, if my memory serves me right. He got a couple of late try assists, or he definitely got one there in the corner. He offloaded it with a flick pass out to the wing.
He had 4 offloads.
So
16 points.
Yeah, he would have got a try assist for that one and a few extra points there. But yeah, I do think Pearce Paul's a solid option, but I'd prefer the other two guys that we're going to touch on, Jacob Preston and David Fifita, if he's starting. I'd definitely
for Preston,
rather
I think
those guys.
it's a really easy. He's going to be a gun. Good buy schedule. He's about 750. He could probably go up another 100K if he keeps scoring like he is. I think he's maybe like a top 5 buy in this week if you don't have him.
Yeah. So, like I said, the Bulldogs play all the major ones, 12, 15, and 18. They've already had one of their buys back in round 6. And then they have buys in round 13 and 16. So there are on the bye like weeks after the major one, but you should have more sides. There's only 3 teams on the bye those weeks. So
it's one of the ones where there's literally no...
And that means their buys are done. So all their buy rounds are done by round 16.
There's no risk with him.
No, I think Preston and any Bulldogs player is a really good option.
41 break even, he'll smack that.
100%. Yeah, I really love Preston. I think he's a great option. And Fifita, we don't really need to touch on. He was our buy last week, break even at 22. If he's benched, look, if you want to get him, feel free to go ahead. Me personally, if Fifita's on the bench, I'm not buying him. I'll wait
that late mail.
Yeah, I'll wait a week and then get him after that, the week after that, because hopefully he's back starting.
I'll just throw this out here. Does David Fifita play Origin this year?
I personally, yes. He always plays Origin for me. But for Billy Slater...
I'm saying from Billy Slater's perspective for you.
I probably... No,
we're picking him straight away.
Yeah. I personally, from what Billy's reasons were as to why he didn't pick him last year, Fifita has had a pretty injury-riddled start to the season and hasn't really been fit. So on that basis, I'd say know he's not going to be picked.
It's crazy work.
Yeah. But as I said, I'd be first pick for me. Anyway, on to some middles, brother, is Maxi King. Good on Maxi. He broke his try-scoring drought, which
That
was the
surprised me
longest.
because I swear he gets a lot of rock near the line.
Yeah, no, longest try drought of current players in the league. I think it was like 80-something games, and he crossed over for a meaty. He's basically been getting like 50-odd points every week, and that beautiful meat pie got him up to 86 points for Max King last week. Look, I've touched on it multiple times this year. The Bulldogs don't have the strongest middle depth. So Max King is basically the leader of that pack in regards to when it comes with your props and locks. So, yeah, I think Max King's a great soft option, or great option, should I say. He is 729K. Look, break even to 32. He's a pod 1.8%. The only issue I have is just that I've already got a heap of middles, so I'd have to trade.
I think everyone's middles
out.
have been locked in since the start.
Yeah, so I'd have to trade out someone that I think maybe like Corey Horsburgh or something like that and upgrade him, but I don't think Horsburgh's done yet personally for myself. So
Yeah, no.
Look, if you need a mid, get
what's
him.
he playing? He's playing about 50 to 60. He plays that. He's one of the more consistent scorers in fantasy. Like he'll get you
He's played 50,
45 minimum, mainly around 55.
So the last 2 weeks, he's actually played 60 minutes. The last 2 weeks against Newcastle and South. And then before that, it was high 40s, low 50s.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Great option. I'd probably just prefer Preston.
Yeah.
If you're really going on who'll score more.
Yeah, and also the depth as well. There's a lot of depth in the middle. So unless you really need a middle, go to Maxi King. But another man we've touched on, we're not going to touch on him for very long, but Erin Clark with the departure of Dylan Walker to Parramatta, which has unfortunately killed Hopgood. There has been an opportunity there for someone to step up in that position, and Erin Clark has really taken it with both hands. 53 points last week. Look, it's now, if you haven't got on now, get aboard immediately because, look, the best thing about Erin Clark is a hooker as well.
Yeah, like Peter Mamazoulis has been stunning.
Oh, yeah, but
It
like
is just
some
it is
teams
just
are
good
just
to
running
have
them.
that. It is good to have that coverage. Even if he plays
He plays
minimum 40, he still goes over 1 point per minute.
The Warriors play the first bye round, and unfortunately, that's the only major bye round that they play. They miss 15 and 18. But look, the Warriors play now every round up till round 15. So round 15's their next bye. So
He's sort of similar price to what Starling was when people jumped on.
I think
he's sort of scoring at a similar PPM. I think he's a great option.
Yeah, look, the minutes as well, definitely.
A lot of people have traded Starling, obviously.
Played 60 minutes last week, which is the highest for the season. So, yeah, I just really think there's a big opportunity there for Clark. Even if he doesn't play big minutes, he can still get like 50 points in 40 minutes, and he's still going to generate.
He might sneak over against Newcastle as well.
Yeah, there's still a bit of money to be made as well. So, look, do I say he's like the best option to get in this week? No, but he's definitely one of the options. Well, like, a top 5 buy for this week, I think.
We talked about him a lot. You go on to the next guy. I think
last guy, we don't really need to say much about him.
Cheapie.
He's basically the go-to and probably the only cheapie this week.
We've had enough.
Yeah, 70. I think he had a break-even of 70, I think, against the Broncos. Now, it was 50 last week against Penrith, and it's now down to 13. He's still 230K, Savala, so it's only going to be going upwards from here, and he'll probably, I'd say they're going to give this young fella a really good crack, Robinson, the Roosters. So
For me personally, I just have a lot of cash in the bank. Like, I got to sell some keepers like Hopgood probably. And if people need a downgrade, he's basically the only option this week.
100%. 230K starting half. He'll keep the spot until Sam Walker. Yeah, until Sam Walker gets back. So, yeah, I don't think I need to go into much more. Great option.
Oh, they're the buys. Actually, I'll throw in 2 more. These are sort of stay with me now buys.
All right, stay with me.
This could go horribly. Cobbo, playing fullback. We've only really seen him there twice. Went stunning one fixture. Pretty trash the other one. Could be anything, I think.
Well,
How long's Walsh out for?
I think it's 3 to 6 weeks.
Yeah. Well, he's got that role unless he goes horrible. How much is he?
433K. He's
It's not a bad
dual
price as well.
and coming off an absolute howler against the Warriors. He only got
Don't
8
get him
points.
this week.
No.
But you could have a look. And maybe get him next week if he goes well.
Yeah, the Broncos are also playing quite poor the last couple of weeks. So I think that's the same a bit with South. They've lost their last 2 games. So
Yep.
I think with both of these guys, watch them this week, but they could be really ripe for the picking next week because Cody Walker's like...
I was just about to say, this guy, I was just talking about, there's not many cheapies around. Like a lot of the cheapies are sort of upgraded into cash. Cody Walker's 345 with a 50 break even. If he gets 30, he'll be about 315K. I mean, would you trust Cody Walker to score well for you or another cheapie next week? To be fair, looking at his scores this year, probably not Cody.
Yeah, probably not.
But you never know. Like he's versing, I think he's got a good matchup next week.
Yeah. They got Newcastle, don't they?
Yeah, Newcastle.
I'm
so
pretty sure.
Could get
I'm
a
pretty
50
sure that's what you said
and bump up his
earlier.
cash.
Yeah, Newcastle next week.
Don't get him, but I'm just putting it on the podcast.
No, well, I think they could be good options next week, Mick. Definitely at nice price.
Yeah.
Should we get into the holds?
Yeah, want me to rattle through these?
Yeah, if you want to.
I was just going to go through like the obvious ones.
Yeah, well, I'd
we'll just
start
go
with
from
like
the top.
I was just gonna say just go through the big fish. So like James Tedesco, look, he didn't have his best performance on the weekend, but huge game. Obviously, round 8 being Anzac Day round.
Probably wouldn't buy Teddy this week.
This is I wouldn't buy him, but I'm saying if you've got him, definitely a hold. If you got Fifita last week and you went AWOL, you went camping, lost reception, and you did the trades beforehand, and he's still there.
Same as
He's a
Katoa,
hold.
Ruben Garrick, Crichton.
That's basically it in terms of the and Pong. Yeah, I'm still of the belief that
would you trade Ponga to Kiraz?
I could do it, but I'm not.
Okay.
I
never started with Ponga.
If Kiraz gets picked for Origin, then I will, I was going to probably go Ponga to Kiraz, but I have to make a bit of money to do that now because of Ponga going down.
Are you just riding the wave?
Yeah, I'm just...
He's dropped so much cash. He could be a buy in
He didn't even play that well last week and got 37. So, those sort of big fish, I think it definitely holds. I think some of these
Katoga.
Yeah, these guys that
we bought him in.
cheapies to higher range guys. So you're looking at your Katoga, your Hubners.
He'll be better.
Your Hubners, your Stafford Toas, and your Tom Jenkins, your Iongis, exclude Can't. Stewart, Iongi, Jenkins, Hubner, Toa, and Katoga. I think all those guys are definitely holds. Iongi had another solid game. He wrongfully was sin bin, so he should have had 40-something points, but it is what it is. With Hamish Stewart and Hubner, the other two are definitely all holds, but Hubner and Stewart, I think, are ones to watch. Gula has replaced Stewart for the Dragons this week.
Yeah, Stewart plays about 25 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, the reason I just say it, though, is just because I personally think that Blake Laurie will be dropped next week for Hamish Stewart.
You think so?
And if he isn't, well, I really don't know what's going on there. But look, from what's happened this year, I think that's what's going to happen. Gula and Stewart were playing together until Gula got suspended. So, yeah, I don't think Stewart's an immediate sell. Same with Hubner now that Arrow's gone back to lock and Aiken into the second row.
Hubner's fine. He'll be a week, he'll come back, he'll get you 40s.
I think he's...
increase in price.
I think those sorts of guys, you can sell if you want to, but I'd just give them another week.
Yep. Easy ones. Right, sells.
Wait, no, not yet. Jenkins that we need to touch on. What are your thoughts on Jenkins? He got 20 on the weekend. He hasn't been that great since out in the wing, but look, surely he goes well this week.
I'll just see how he goes.
I don't think he's immediate.
He'll get a try here and there.
Adam Dewey.
You bought him to be
a lot of people have got Adam Dewey in to be a halfback, and now he's back in the centres. Galvin being out of the side only lasted 1 week. I think you got to hold him and just maybe hope that they either gets the early release or at least give him a couple of weeks. He's not scoring awfully at centre anyway, so hope that the Tigers can bounce back. And then the last guy in the holds, Mick, is Can't. It's probably the biggest one that a lot of people have been talking about.
I just think he'll come on and play a decent stint. He'll get you a bit of cash rises, and then he can sell next week.
I think he's going to play something in that middle role until Adam Elliott comes back. I can see Can't. There has been, well, someone sent me a DM today saying that they reckon that there's some rumours around that Can't could be playing lock or in that lock middle rotation this week. So, and he really goes out there and works his backside off. So I don't really think he's an immediate sell. Look, if you want to sell him, feel free to, but I definitely see what his role is this week. He could play like 60 minutes, like Croker could play 20 minutes at lock, and then Can't could play the next 60 minutes.
Yeah, as I said, just see how it goes.
See how it goes. All right.
Sells Reece Walsh, Jack Howarth, and then these two, Jai Gray, like he's not going to come back into that fullback role. He's made his money. He's been great. Sell him. And then Sam Smith, like he may score well. He may improve, but like he's pretty much peaked in terms of his money making. That's a simple one as well.
Yeah. Look, Sandon Smith, to get his money flowing again, would have to go out and score like a 60 points or something like that. And just from what I've been seeing, I don't really think that is possible at the moment. I think it's a bit of a luxury sell, though, someone like Sandon Smith, unless you really need to upgrade someone or you want to go downgrade to, say, Savala, make a bit of money and then upgrade, say, like a mid-ranger or something like that to a gun. Feel free to do that. But, yeah, for me, I think I'll just be holding just because, I can afford to, save some trades. I didn't do any last week, so if I can maybe just do Savala and maybe a gun, then at least I've saved some trades and then can get rid of Smith, say, next week because their Roosters buy-round period is awful.
Lovely.
So, yeah, and look, to those 9% of people that still have Tom Gilbert, just please respectfully move on.
He's been disappointing.
I nearly fell off my chair at work thinking of the prospect that there's 9% of coaches that have still got Tom Gilbert in their team. Look, Mick, Cord did a really good job last week in terms of giving some, a bit of a pod captain selection. My pod captain selection of Jayden Campbell didn't even play.
There's only 3 captains. Simple.
No, but I want you now. I'm gonna give one, and I want you to think of one that's outside of those big three players. Look, just before we go into those pod captains, like you said, Nathan Cleary, Yo, Haas, and May.
We literally don't even decide.
They are the four big captaincy options. Look, in regards to Cleary, look, he averages 81.5 against Manly. Payne Haas, look, with the Broncos bench this week, they've got Pates, Jensen, Hunt, and Piakora. There's not really that many middles there. So even though Wilson, I think, will come from the second row and then end up being on the bench as a middle, I think Haas might get a few extra minutes this week. Look, if you want a pod captain, I'm going to give you one right now.
Yeah, you give me one.
Jacob Kiraz.
I'd say Isaiah, yeah.
Yeah. Jacob Kiraz, for me, he averages 68.5 against the Broncos. And look, if the Broncos don't play like they were to start the season, this game could get ugly. I hate to say it as a Broncos fan, but you've just got to judge a book by its cover, basically. And just, I just think that they could really put on a few points this week. I hope I'm wrong. But, yeah, that's basically it, I think.
Isaiah, yeah, for me.
Yeah. Cheapie of the week, Savala. I think that's really it. If you enjoy what you're listening and watching, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube. Give us a like as well as basically, get around us. That's basically
just get around us.
Get around us. And
thanks for watching.
We'll see you next week.